What if I told you you can invest in real estate with only $1,000 in the state of Alabama? Would you believe me? Well, in this video, I'm going to run by play-by-play how and where to find these deals. But before I begin, I want to introduce myself to all the new folks on my channel. My name is Kay, and on this channel, we talk all things money moves with a special emphasis on real estate. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, before we begin, I think it's very important to mention that Alabama is a tax lien state that has a 3-year redemption period, which means that the homeowner, an heir, or anybody with legal or equitable interest in the property has 3 years to redeem the property, in addition to the 12% annualized interest rate. Now, for this video, I'll be going over Alabama's tax delinquent list. Now, with this list, I'll briefly go over the website and how and what to do in order to find these deals. But if you want more in-depth information, have more questions, and really want to know which counties do you start with, there's 67 counties in the state of Alabama. So how in the world do you know which counties to start with? So in my Patreon, I'll go over specifically where to start and what are some good counties to start with in order to make a profit, especially if you're trying to flip these properties to make a profit, right? Some people are just purchasing the properties to hold themselves, but a lot of folks want to purchase a property for under $1,000 and then flip it for, let's say, $30,000, $40,000. So just keep that in mind to join the Patreon if you want more in-depth information and a play-by-play, like a tutorial on how to go through these sites and how to know what areas are more popular than others. But I'm going to jump over to the computer and show you a little bit about how to maneuver on this website. So yeah, join me on the computer. All right, so we are at the computer, and this is the website. You're going to go to revenue.alabama.gov, and this is where you're finding tax delinquent properties via the state. So once you get here, click services, go down and click collections, and then what you're going to do is you're going to scroll down and click this little tab here that says state held tax delinquent property. Once you get here, you're going to scroll down again, and as I stated earlier, this is all the counties that's in Alabama that you can kind of rummage through. But I click this search delinquent tax properties. And here again, you have just a tab of a ton of different properties that you can choose from. For time purposes and also for name purposes, I'll go ahead and go with Montgomery, Alabama. And I won't push search because I already have an actual parcel ID that I wanted to look up because I wanted to save us some time and make sure that I'm a little bit more precise with this. So here we go. So the CS number, you got a county code, document number, parcel ID, year that it was sold, assessed value, amount bid at tax sale, and name and description. It's a lot of stuff, right? So CS number, you click here. This is only if you wanted to submit your offer to the state and you were interested in this property, okay? So it has basic information, name, email address, etc. And this whole process, don't think it'll take a quick process. This whole process takes about roughly 2 to 4 months. So keep that in mind as you are searching. Now, before we continue, I really wanted to talk about a company I've been working with for the past couple months called Avail. Now, Avail is a landlord platform that allows you and I to landlord a lot easier. So what you can do with Avail is you can collect rent from your tenants. You can screen your tenants with a background check or credit checks, and also look at the eviction notices within the tenant's past. You can also draft and sign leases electronically, which is a mind-blowing thing and a game changer, all right? And one of the things I really like about the lease portion of Avail, the best, is that they already come with ready-made leases for you, and they're state-specific. So there may be state-specific clauses that you would need to add to a lease, and they have it right there for you. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, all right? Give Avail a try. Click the link in the description and go ahead and sign up for Avail. I've been using it for the past couple months, so it is officially K approved. And back to the video. Also, you see parcel ID. Okay, county code is here. That's not necessarily important for searching purposes. Document number, parcel ID, year sold, assessed value, amount bid, name, description. So the parcel ID is very important because that allows you to look up the actual property. But I want you to keep in mind that it's a special way that you need to look this up. And I'll go over this in the Patreon group. But all these numbers do, if you put this in a GIS, it will not pull up. Like if you just literally copy and paste this parcel ID, it won't pull up for whatever reason. And every state is different, right? Year sold, 10. So this is the year that the state actually received this property and they were delinquent on their taxes. Assessed value. So the state is saying that the assessed value is $3,000 it may or may not be that, right? It could be higher, it could be lower. But I've already looked at this property and I would say it's actually roughly around the same. Actually, a little bit less, but that's just my opinion. Amount bid at tax sale, this is the goal right here. And you might see this and say, K, yo, I got $158. Come on now. And I'm going to backtrack to the year sold in just a second because that is very, very important. But amount bid at tax sale. So this is the amount that the taxes were delinquent when the state actually received it in 2010. Okay. And as I mentioned earlier, Alabama is a tax lien state, and the redemption period is 3 years. So anything after or before 3 years, after 3 years is good to go. For instance, 2010 is way, way earlier than 2020, right? And 2020 will be in that 3 year period because we're currently in 2023, in which, somebody could redeem the property. So this right here is very important to look at. You got the amount bid at tax sale, $158.98, the name of the person or entity, and then the description of the property. But keep that in mind. So 2010 is when the state received this property, and each year their taxes are $158.98, which would mean that they owe roughly, that's 13 years have elapsed. If this is 2023, that's 13 years. That's roughly about $2,000, roughly. So keep in mind that you probably won't be paying, I'll go ahead and say that you won't be paying $158.98 unless you do this one thing that I'll mention in the Patreon more in depth. But the one thing is that you can skip the line and just submit your offer. It's called a best offer. I'll give that email out in the Patreon, how to contact the person directly or the office directly to submit your best offer. And in that event, you don't have to pay the back taxes, meaning I just said that was about $2,000. You wouldn't have to pay that. You would only pay your best offer. So really cool way to skip the line, which I mentioned on one of my posts. I think it was a community post. But just a great way to skip the line and get a property very, very cheaply. Because if you place your bid here on this example and you say, okay, then I want to place a bid of $300, right? Or $400. And you want to, you don't want to make it so low that they're like, absolutely not. I'm not going to take $160. That's $2 more roughly. But you want to make it a decent offer over. But you also want to look at the assessed value and make sure if you are flipping this property to sell it again, that you would get a pretty decent profit. So it's a whole lot of workings in this particular thing or deal or property. So yeah, and make sure when you submit, in order to do the highest and best offer, or what they call the best offer, it has to be at least 5 years old, and it also the minimum bid can be $100 because on this list there are a ton of properties that are like $55. But they will only allow you to bid at least $100. So if you're going through and saying, well, I could just bid $60 on it. No, if you're doing the best offer route, you have to bid a minimum of $100, right? But this is over $100. So you can bid anything, within reason over, I would say, over the 158. I wanted to show you this property and just kind of go through this just a little bit. Because I've already looked at this on the GIS. And do I have this pulled up? Boom. So this is Google Maps, and I always like to look at the neighborhood and see like a little bit more information, right? Because you don't want to purchase blindly. And of course, guys, I always say this every video, but it behooves me to say it again. Always do your due diligence. You do not want to, first of all, not see these properties or have somebody and trust see these properties, but also you want to make sure that there are no additional encumbrances or liens on the property that you don't know about. Sometimes the city may put assessments on the property, like a utility assessment or property assessment in general. So you want to make sure that you are good to go, or G to G, when you are looking at these properties. So this is the land. This is the lot that they're referring to. Okay. That is $158.98 only if you do the best offer. Now, if you don't do the best offer, the state will come back to you and say, okay, well, we'll process your bid, we'll process your bid at, maybe $1,900. It may not be the entire amount that's owed over the 13 years, but it'll be close, okay? Because they still want to get their money. And keep this in mind, guys. The state uses this money to fund, education, roads, and all kind of other stuff. So they're out to get, whatever they can, because this is such a huge list. Let me go back to, yes, check this list out. It's a huge list. Like, you got $97, $61, $151. It's a huge, huge list. So, they just want to recoup that money as best as possible. So one thing that I am looking for, I'll go ahead and say this little nugget, I guess it's a nugget, is I look for utility. So this is the utility line right here. This is the electricity. And I look for pride of ownership in the neighborhood. So I want to make sure that, it is profitable. And I've already looked this property up on Zillow, and I'll go play by play in the Patreon. But this lot, actually, no, it was this house. Boom. Per Zillow, they said this house sold for $269. I have no clue if that's accurate or not. Yeah. But what I will say is that so far, so good. It's flat. So in the event that you did want to purchase this land and, and by the way, land is not the only thing that's on here, right? So it's properties on here, but you do have to go through this list and try to figure out, what's good and what's not. But this seems like a pretty decent small lot. It's clear, and this was updated in, looks like March 2022. Okay, image capture March 2022. So that was last year. And there was a house once on this, and I looked at this on another GIS system, and there was a house here, but they probably knocked the house down. It was probably abandoned, and when you have abandonment in the neighborhood, it could be problematic with, just it could be problematic for the community as well. But that's that. These are properties all under $1,000, okay? I picked on this one as just an example of one. Actually, not this one, but that is one too. As an example of properties that are on this list that make a pretty good, they're all under $1,000 if you do the best offer. If you don't do the best offer, you're going to have to pay each year of that, which again, that was 13 years. But yeah, that's what I wanted to go over. If you found any value in this video, please give it a like. Share this with somebody else that may need this information. There's so much powerful information out here. It's too much not to share it. So this is me getting the information out. If you made it to this point in the video, I thank you so very much. And do me a favor in the comment section, right? I did it again. All right. Right. I did it again. So I know that you made it to this point, and I truly do appreciate you guys for watching each and every one of my videos. Until next time, guys, you stay blessed. Peace.